fluids and end dynamics. How do we make them work together? This is going to be what this tutorial is about. How to connect the two things. So you ask yourself, why would I want to do this? Why not just use what comes with the end dynamics, using the nucleus node to create wind or some noise? Well, basically, the nucleus won't give us the randomization that we would like to get with the movement. We don't really have little particles hitting our cloth moving the object. So what we want to do is basically get that kind of feel to our cloth sim. So in this tutorial, I'm not going to go into too much information how to actually have cloth behave in that way, but how to get the fluids to move cloth. And even in the fluids part, I'm not going to go into how fluids work because A, I don't know that much, and B, is just time consuming. So I think 4 videos out of the 4, I think 2 will be like just set up and clean up, and how to get your cloth to the situation to a good state and a good workflow, so when you add the fluids it will be as clean as possible. um, and then in fluids I will show you how to set it up, and maybe I'll do a bonus video showing you how to bake everything out. So that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, guys and girls, so I'm gonna start from the end. And the reason I'm doing this is a lot of people just don't know how to clean up or how to deal with nCloth. And because we want to preserve as much as our as much CPU and GPU power, we want to delete and remove different nCloth items during our workflow without leaving any residual nodes in the scene that will be calculated. So I've seen this done many times by other people and myself. I used to do this a lot by just pressing delete, and it's gone because it's not here. But that doesn't mean that Maya hasn't left some you know connections to other things in the scene. So let's just go through the proper way of removing and dynamic nodes from a scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is just I'm going to remove my lights. I'm going to turn off my anti-aliasing, my all these visual aids for viewport 2.0 because it's just going to slow down the scene. I'm going to remove that. And the first thing I'm going to remove is basically the last thing that I connected. So the last thing usually to connect to an nCloth is its constraints. So I'm going to remove constraints, then remove the nCloth, uh, nCloth items, which is the nRigid and nCloth nodes, and then I'm going to delete the nucleus so I get a clean scene. And then I could basically delete history and clean up scene, and then I could start fresh, and I won't have all of this slowdown that might come from working on this. All right, so let's get started with that. So I'm going to choose both of my dynamic constraints, and I'm going to change to my effects menu, go to end constraints, down to remove dynamic constraints, and just remove them. And as you can see, it's been removed, and believe me, it's removed everything that's got to do with it. So now let's just choose all our geometry in the scene because they all have basically these constraints. And what I'm going to do now is go to nCloth, remove nCloth, and as you can see, it's gone, and I've lost the animation. That means if I scrub, nothing's going to happen. Now I could physically just remove the nucleus by pressing delete, and now the last thing I'm going to do is delete history, edit, delete by type history, or Alt Shift D, as you can see the shortcut right there. So there you go, I got a nice clean scene. And with that being said, let's move on to scene setup. So like I said, I'm starting from the end just to show you how to get to the a clean scene if you ever want to clean up your scene. All right.